Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, evening. Today I stand before you to speak about a powerful yet often invisible strength, a strength that is sometimes hidden behind a quiet smile, behind the grace with which a woman walks through life, and behind the composure that others see. I speak of a woman who carries her pain in silence. It is said that women are the backbone of families, communities, and societies. They are the nurturers, the caregivers, the ones who pour love and strength into others, often at the expense of their own well-being. However, there exists a silent and unseen burden that many women bear, a burden that no one may ever see, but that weighs heavily on their hearts and souls. This is the pain that is carried in silence. A woman who carries her pain in silence is often a woman who has suffered loss, whether it be the loss of a loved one, a dream, a job, or even a sense of self. She may have faced rejection, abandonment, or heartbreak. She may be living with the lingering scars of trauma, betrayal, or emotional wounds that cut deeper than any physical injury ever could. Yet, despite the heaviness of it all, she does not let it show. She does not cry out for help, nor does she ask for sympathy. Instead, she holds it all inside, tucked away in the quietest corners of her heart. Why does she carry this pain in silence, you may ask? Part of it may be societal. The world often tells women to be strong, to be resilient, to put on a brave face for the sake of others. There is an unspoken expectation for women to be selfless, to take care of everyone else first, and to keep their own struggles hidden. In many cultures, vulnerability is seen as a weakness, and women are expected to shoulder pain without complaint. Sometimes it's a matter of survival. She may have no one to turn to or may fear being misunderstood. Her silence might be a way to protect others from her pain, to shield them from the burden of her emotions. She may feel as though her pain doesn't matter, that her needs are secondary to everyone else's, and so she keeps it to herself. But make no mistake, this silence does not mean she is weak. On the contrary, it takes incredible strength to carry pain without outwardly showing it. It takes courage to continue to go about the daily tasks of life, taking care of children, working, supporting friends and family, while silently battling the storms inside. Yet this silence can also be a source of danger. When pain is kept hidden, it has the power to fester and grow, to eat away at a person's mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. A woman who carries her pain in silence may eventually reach a breaking point, a moment when the weight of it all becomes too much to bear. It is then that her silence can turn into an outcry, a cry for help that is too late, too loud, or too desperate. This is why it's so important to recognize the signs, to reach out, and to offer support to those around us who may be quietly struggling. As a society, we must create spaces where women can feel safe enough to share their pain. We must encourage them to speak, to express themselves, to seek help when needed. But more importantly, we must listen without judgment, without rushing to offer solutions or minimize their struggles. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply to listen, to sit with someone in their pain, to acknowledge it, and to hold space for their healing. To the women who carry their pain in silence, I want to say this: you are seen. Your strength is acknowledged. You do not have to carry this burden alone. It is okay to speak up, to ask for help, to let others in. You are worthy of love, support, and care just as much as anyone else. Your pain does not diminish your worth, it only makes you human. Women for centuries have been hailed as the pillars of strength in their families, communities, and societies. They are the nurturers, the caregivers, the ones who give without expecting in return. But behind the resilience and grace that women often display, there exists a silent strength, a strength that comes from carrying their pain without showing it to the world. This strength is not always celebrated or acknowledged, but it is profound and deep, rooted in generations of women who have learned to endure in silence, often out of necessity rather than choice. When we speak of silent strength, we are talking about the emotional and mental fortitude that women develop when they endure personal suffering without revealing their struggles. This kind of strength is not about boasting or showing the world how tough one is. Instead, it is about enduring quietly, keeping one's pain to oneself, and continuing to show up for others in the face of it. Silent strength is complex and layered, often shaped by cultural, social, and familial expectations. In many societies, women are expected to be the emotional backbone of their families and communities. They are tasked with caring for others, whether it's their children, their partners, or even their extended families, while their own needs and emotional health take a back seat. For a woman who carries her pain in silence, this strength is often born from a deep sense of duty. She does not seek attention or sympathy for her suffering, she quietly carries it, hiding the emotional scars from the world. Her pain could stem from a myriad of sources: personal loss, grief, heartbreak, trauma, betrayal, or even the quiet exhaustion that comes from the weight of daily responsibilities. These burdens may not always be visible, but they are carried just the same. Despite the heaviness of her load, she does not speak of it, does not let others in. Instead, she keeps it locked away, hidden beneath the surface. Part of this silence comes from the way women have been socialized to handle their emotions. From a young age, girls are often taught to be polite, to put others first, and to remain composed in the face of difficulty. There is an unspoken pressure for women to be strong, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. They are often told to be brave or stay strong when faced with adversity, which can lead to the suppression of their own feelings. This expectation is ingrained so deeply that it becomes second nature for many women to keep their struggles to themselves, to suffer in silence, because they feel it is their responsibility to maintain the peace, to hold everything together for those they love. This silent strength is also influenced by societal perceptions of vulnerability. In many cultures, vulnerability is seen as a weakness, and women are expected to be strong and self-sufficient, never showing signs of emotional fragility. A woman who allows herself to show her pain, to cry, or to ask for help may be perceived as weak, needy, or incapable. The pressure to live up to these ideals can be overwhelming, leading women to bury their pain and carry on as though nothing is wrong. The weight of these expectations is heavy, and it often leads to a pattern of silent endurance that can be emotionally taxing over time. However, this silent strength is not just about the external pressures women face, it is also deeply personal. For many women, there is a deep-seated belief that their pain does not matter as much as the pain of others. They may feel as though their struggles are insignificant or unworthy of attention. In relationships, whether with a partner, family members, or friends, women may find themselves putting others' needs ahead of their own. They become the emotional caretakers for others, but rarely ask for or receive the same level of care in return. This can lead to a feeling of isolation, where a woman feels she has no one to lean on or confide in. And so she continues to carry her pain in silence. The emotional labor that women perform, often without recognition, is a significant aspect of this silent strength. Emotional labor refers to the work involved in managing one's own emotions and the emotions of others. For women, this emotional labor can be all-encompassing. They are often the ones who hold the family together emotionally, who support their loved ones through difficult times, and who take on the responsibility of maintaining harmony in their relationships. In doing so, they often neglect their own emotional needs, choosing instead to bear their pain alone. This kind of emotional labor can take a toll, not only mentally and emotionally, but physically as well. When a woman suppresses her feelings for long periods, it can manifest in physical symptoms: fatigue, headaches, anxiety, depression, and even chronic health conditions. The mind and body are not separate entities, and the emotional burden of carrying pain in silence can be overwhelming. Yet, despite all this, there is a profound beauty in silent strength. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. A woman who carries her pain in silence is not necessarily weak. She is, in fact, incredibly strong. She shows an immense amount of resilience, often facing hardships that many would not even be able to imagine, yet she continues to go about her life with dignity and grace. There is an undeniable power in being able to endure, to keep moving forward despite the obstacles in one's path. This silent strength is a form of quiet defiance, a refusal to be broken by the hardships life throws her way. It is an act of courage to continue showing up for others when one's own heart is heavy with grief or sorrow. However, there is a danger in this silence. When pain is carried in silence for too long, it can become a silent killer. The burden of unspoken pain can lead to emotional numbness, a sense of being disconnected from others, and even self-destructive behavior. The longer a woman suppresses her emotions, the harder it becomes to process and heal from them. Eventually, the weight of carrying this pain without sharing it can lead to burnout, depression, and an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. It is important to recognize that while silent strength is admirable, it is not sustainable. Every person, woman or man, needs space to grieve, to feel, and to heal. While society often expects women to be strong, It is essential to remember that strength does not come from the ability to endure pain in silence. It comes from the courage to ask for help when needed, to lean on others for support, and to allow oneself to be vulnerable. Strength is not about carrying the world on one's shoulders without breaking. It is about acknowledging one's pain, seeking help, and finding healing. The woman who carries her pain in silence needs to understand that she is not weak for asking for help. In fact, reaching out for support is one of the greatest acts of strength a person can demonstrate. Unfortunately, many women who carry their pain in silence do so because they feel they have no other choice. They may feel as though the world will not understand their struggles or that they will be judged for being too emotional. In reality, no one should have to carry their pain alone. It is crucial for friends, family, and society to create a space where women can feel safe to express their emotions without fear of judgment or dismissal. We must challenge the cultural norms that perpetuate the idea that women should be silent in their suffering, and instead we must encourage open dialogue, empathy, and understanding. A woman who carries her pain in silence is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Her silent endurance is a reflection of the deep emotional reserve she has within her. But it is important to remember that this silent strength is not without its cost. It is essential that we, as a society, support women in finding ways to express their pain, seek help, and heal. We must recognize that strength is not about silence. It is about the courage to face one's pain, to heal, and to continue moving forward, not in isolation, but with the support and love of others. Silence can be a powerful tool, often used as a way to express emotions, to communicate without words, and to create space for introspection. However, when silence is used as a shield to hide emotional pain, it can be deeply dangerous. This is particularly true when people, especially women, feel compelled to carry their pain in silence, bottling up their emotions, rather than expressing or addressing them. Though it may seem like an act of strength at first, silence can ultimately lead to significant mental, emotional, and physical harm if left unchecked. The dangers of silence, especially when it comes to suppressing pain, are numerous, and they should never be underestimated. At the core of this issue is the belief that silence is somehow more acceptable or more appropriate than speaking out. In many cultures and societies, there exists a pervasive notion that vulnerability is a weakness, that showing emotion is something to be ashamed of, and that suffering in silence is noble. The expectation is that people, particularly women, should be strong and resilient at all times, even when they are in pain. This often results in a painful silence that goes unspoken but is deeply felt, and over time it can take a toll on one's mental and emotional health. One of the most immediate dangers of silence is that it leads to emotional repression. When a person is unable to express their emotions, particularly pain or grief, it begins to accumulate and build up within them. This emotional backlog doesn't simply disappear. Instead, it festers, becoming more complex and harder to address the longer it is suppressed. It becomes a heavy, invisible weight that the person continues to carry. The result is a constant underlying sense of anxiety, frustration, or sadness that colors every aspect of life. Over time, this emotional repression can cause deep internal conflict and self-criticism. The person may begin to believe that their emotions are not valid or that they are not entitled to feel hurt, which only exacerbates the issue. The longer the silence is maintained, the more difficult it becomes to acknowledge the need to confront these suppressed emotions. Furthermore, emotional repression due to silence can lead to a sense of disconnection from oneself. When people continuously suppress their emotions, they begin to lose touch with their inner world. They may no longer know how to recognize their own feelings, making it difficult to understand what they are truly experiencing. This detachment from one's emotions can lead to a diminished sense of self, as a person may feel lost, isolated, or unable to connect with their own identity. It's as if the very essence of who they are gets swallowed by the weight of their unsaid words and unacknowledged pain. Over time, this disconnection can lead to emotional numbness, where nothing feels meaningful or authentic anymore. The person may go through life in a state of emotional apathy, disconnected from the world around them, and even from their own body. One of the most significant dangers of silence, however, is the toll it takes on mental health. Suppressing pain and suffering can lead to a variety of psychological issues, including depression and anxiety. When someone is forced to keep their feelings inside, it often creates a cognitive dissonance. The mind and body are at odds with each other. The mind may tell the person to keep going, to hold it together, to remain strong, but the body reacts to the stress and strain of unacknowledged pain. This disconnect can manifest as symptoms of depression, such as persistent sadness, a lack of motivation, a sense of hopelessness, or feelings of worthlessness. Anxiety can also develop as the person constantly tries to manage their emotions and navigate the weight of their unsaid thoughts. The silence that once seemed like an act of strength now becomes a trigger for these debilitating mental health issues. Another harmful effect of silence is that it isolates people from others. When a woman, for example, chooses to carry her pain silently, she may push others away without even realizing it. The lack of communication creates a barrier, making it difficult for those around her to offer support, help, or even a listening ear. While the woman may be trying to protect others from her pain or avoid burdening them, the reality is that this silence creates a chasm between her and the people who care about her. The more she retreats inwardly, the more disconnected she becomes, not just from others, but from the possibility of healing. She may feel misunderstood or like no one truly cares, not realizing that her silence is what has created the distance. The danger of isolation is that it can breed feelings of loneliness and despair. Human beings are inherently social creatures. We thrive on connection and communication. When someone experiences pain in silence, they are deprived of the opportunity to share their burden with others, which is often the first step in healing. Instead of feeling supported, they may feel alone in their suffering, which only intensifies the emotional pain. The longer someone isolates themselves, the more likely it is that their mental state will worsen. The absence of external support can make the pain seem insurmountable, leading to a cycle of negative thinking that is difficult to break. Silence also takes a significant toll on physical health. The emotional and psychological consequences of suppressing pain can manifest in physical symptoms. The body is not separate from the mind, and chronic emotional stress can lead to numerous health problems. A person who keeps their pain inside may experience tension in their muscles, headaches, digestive issues, sleep disturbances, and chronic fatigue. The body's response to emotional pain is very real, and the longer the pain is held in silence, the greater the risk of developing physical health problems. Conditions like high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and autoimmune disorders have been linked to chronic emotional stress. The person may be unaware that their physical ailments are a direct result of their emotional pain, further contributing to the cycle of silence and suffering. Moreover, silence can also lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms. When a person cannot express their emotions, they may turn to destructive ways of managing their pain. This could include substance abuse, overeating, self-harm, or withdrawing even further from social interactions. These coping mechanisms may provide temporary relief from emotional discomfort, but they only exacerbate the problem in the long run. They mask the underlying pain without addressing the root cause, making it harder for the person to heal or move forward. The silence becomes a trap, and the person feels increasingly unable to break free from it. In relationships, silence can also be a silent form of communication that causes misunderstandings and conflict. When someone chooses to carry their pain in silence, they may withdraw from others or become emotionally unavailable. This can be confusing to those around them, leading to feelings of rejection or frustration. The person who is suffering in silence may struggle to express their needs, and those around them may struggle to understand what is wrong. This lack of communication can result in damaged relationships, creating further emotional strain. The longer the silence persists, the harder it becomes to repair the damage as the emotional distance between individuals widens. The dangers of silence, particularly when it comes to emotional pain, are profound and far-reaching. Suppressed emotions don't simply disappear, they accumulate and cause harm, both mentally and physically. When silence is used as a coping mechanism, it can lead to emotional repression, isolation, mental health struggles, physical illness, and damaged relationships. Although silence may appear to be an act of strength, it often turns out to be a silent killer, one that erodes a person's well-being from the inside out. The key to healing is not in the silence, but in finding the courage to speak, to reach out for help, and to allow others in. Only then can the cycle of silence and pain be broken and the path to recovery begin. Support and compassion are powerful forces that can transform lives, especially when someone is going through a difficult time. These qualities are essential in fostering emotional healing, connection, and resilience, yet they are often overlooked or underappreciated. In particular, when someone is suffering in silence, whether from emotional pain, trauma, or grief, offering support and compassion can make all the difference. Encouraging these qualities in both individuals and communities is crucial in ensuring that people do not have to bear their burdens alone and that they feel heard, seen, and validated. The idea of offering support and compassion is rooted in the understanding that no one is truly alone in their struggles. As human beings, we are inherently social creatures. We thrive when we are connected to others, when we feel understood and supported. However, there are times in life when individuals may feel isolated by their pain, unable or unwilling to reach out to others for help. Whether due to fear of being judged, a belief that their pain is insignificant, or simply a sense of shame, many people struggle in silence. When these individuals withdraw into themselves, it becomes even more vital for those around them to encourage support and compassion, to remind them that they are not invisible and that their pain is valid. One of the greatest barriers to offering support and compassion is a lack of understanding of what others are going through. People often have difficulty relating to someone else's pain, particularly when it is something they have not personally experienced. This can lead to a tendency to dismiss or minimize another person's suffering. In some cases, people may even suggest that someone just get over it or move on as if the pain will magically disappear with time. Unfortunately, this lack of understanding can be isolating, as the person who is suffering may feel that no one truly cares or sees them for who they are. To encourage support and compassion, it is important to acknowledge that each person's experience of pain is unique and valid. What may seem insignificant to one person could be an overwhelming burden to another. People process emotions differently, and there is no universal timeline for healing. Encouraging a culture of compassion begins with cultivating empathy, the ability to understand and share in another person's feelings. Empathy allows us to approach others with kindness and patience, recognizing that their pain is real, regardless of how we might perceive it. One of the most meaningful ways to offer support is through active listening. Often when someone is suffering, all they need is someone who will listen without judgment or interruption. Listening does not require offering solutions or trying to fix the problem. It simply requires being present. When we listen attentively and without distraction, we validate the other person's experience, signaling to them that their feelings matter. This kind of support creates a safe space for people to express themselves freely without fear of rejection or invalidation. It allows them to process their emotions in a healthy way, knowing that they are not alone in their suffering. However, listening is only part of the equation. The other essential aspect of support is showing empathy through actions. Words of comfort are important, but they are not always enough. Offering practical help can make a huge difference in someone's life, especially when they are going through a difficult time. Sometimes, a person who is struggling may not have the energy or the ability to ask for help, even though they need it. By offering to take on small tasks such as cooking a meal, helping with chores, or simply being there for them, you show that you care. These actions communicate a deep sense of compassion, letting the person know that they are not alone in their pain. In some cases, people may feel that they cannot reach out to others because they fear burdening them. This is particularly common in situations where someone is dealing with ongoing struggles, such as chronic illness or the aftermath of trauma. These individuals may feel that their pain has become too much to handle, that they are constantly asking for support, or that they are draining the people around them. However, it is important to remember that offering support is not a burden, it is a gift. Compassionate relationships are built on reciprocity, and being there for someone during their time of need strengthens the bond between people. When we offer help, we also provide the opportunity for others to experience the kindness and generosity of others. Support is not one-sided, it is a shared experience that brings people closer together. One powerful way to encourage support and compassion is through open and honest communication. Often individuals who are struggling keep their pain hidden, fearing that others will not understand or that their vulnerability will be met with rejection. Encouraging people to communicate their needs, whether verbally or non-verbally, helps break down the barriers that silence creates. When we ask questions like, "How are you really doing?" or "Is there anything I can do for you?" we open the door to meaningful conversation. It is important to approach these questions with genuine curiosity and care, allowing the other person to share at their own pace. This creates a non-judgmental space for them to express their feelings without fear of being dismissed or invalidated. It is also important to recognize that showing compassion doesn't always mean fixing someone's problems. In fact, one of the most powerful things we can do for someone who is suffering is simply to be present and allow them to express their pain without trying to offer immediate solutions. Sometimes the need is not for answers, but for understanding. When we rush to fix things, we may inadvertently send the message that the person's feelings are not enough or that they need to get over it quickly. Compassion involves accepting the person's pain without trying to erase it. It is about sitting with them in their suffering and offering unconditional support. Furthermore, compassion extends beyond just offering support during times of crisis. It should be an ongoing presence in relationships. Encouraging support means being there for others, not only in their moments of crisis, but also in their everyday lives. Regular check-ins, small gestures of kindness, and simply showing interest in a person's well-being all contribute to creating an atmosphere of compassion. This kind of support strengthens relationships and ensures that people feel cared for consistently, not just when they are struggling. A compassionate society is one where people lift each other up, whether in times of joy or sorrow. It is also crucial to create an environment where people feel comfortable asking for help without feeling ashamed or guilty. In many cultures, there is still a stigma surrounding the idea of needing support, particularly when it comes to mental health or emotional struggles. Encouraging support and compassion means actively working to reduce this stigma and promote the idea that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. When we make it clear that it is okay to seek assistance, whether it be from a friend, family member, or professional, we help normalize the experience of struggling and make it easier for people to reach out. Additionally, showing compassion can help foster resilience in others. When someone is struggling, knowing that there is someone they can turn to for support gives them the strength to keep going. Compassion offers hope. It reminds people that even in the darkest times, they are not alone. Support provides a foundation of emotional security, which enables individuals to heal and grow from their experiences. Encouragement, kindness, and understanding can act as the catalyst for change, helping people rediscover their inner strength and move forward with renewed hope and determination. Ultimately, encouraging support and compassion is about creating a community of care. It is about fostering an environment where individuals feel seen, heard, and valued. It is about breaking down the barriers of isolation and silence, allowing people to lean on one another and grow stronger together. It is about recognizing the shared human experience of suffering and offering a hand to lift others up when they are at their lowest. Support and compassion are not merely abstract concepts, they are actionable, life-changing qualities that can transform the way we interact with one another and heal our world, one act of kindness at a time. Let us all remember that we are our sisters' keepers. It is our responsibility to not only celebrate the triumphs of women, but also to stand with them in their struggles. To be there when they need us, to offer our understanding, and to help lift the weight of their silent burdens. Thank you.